So let's get started with the brine shrimp AP Bio data table making and graph making tutorial. So I'm going to start by just kind of uh, see these cells. I'm clicking into these cells here, and of course I've opened up already the Excel program. So if you don't already have it, click here, type in Excel, and then click on, if you have two choices like I did here in your computers, click on the one with the little book that's green. It'll give me, that makes sure that we're working on the same program together. It's a version 16.6.3. Okay, so first step is I'm going to select a group of cells that I'm going to merge to make my title. Okay, and you certainly can do this table so many different ways. I'm just going to give you a general way to do that. So I'm going to hit merge and center. So I just selected a few cells, I hit merge and center, and now I'm going to type in what this data table is all about. You just can't have data tables in your lab, you have to make sure that they are descriptive. So I'm going to say hatching, or percent hatching we'll say. Percent hatching viability, and I'm going to do dash 72 hours, because if you remember we did this over a 72-hour period, 3 days, and it's way too small for my liking, so I'm going to kind of get that bigger, make that 16 and make that bold. You certainly can change that any way you like with the colors, and you feel free to make your, be individualistic here. Okay, all right, so now I'm going to just get this nice little, I'm just going to, on the right hand corner here, I'm just making this bigger so we can see what's going on. All right, well, we have a data table already given to us with data. But before we do that, I'm going to kind of set this up here. I think I want to write salinity. That's the type of salt solution. And if I remember, we had 0.0% solution that we tested the brine shrimp in. We had 0.5%. And we had 1.0%. We had 1.50%. And now we had 2.00%. Okay, and I'm just gonna kind of drag and click these cells and hit center. See right there, just because if you have a little bit of OCD in you, you can do that. Also, I'm going to kind of move this down a little bit, I think. So I'm going to kind of select these guys and just move this down. If I can do that, or I want to add a row here. So tools, data, and I'm not insert a row. Okay, perfect. That's better. Okay, because I want to put the groups here. And we had several groups, and let's just go to I have already opened up in my Chrome. Okay, brine shrimp. This was if you remember, in the class web page. Here we go. That's not it. Class web page should have been open. It's not. So let's do that. So we go to first quarter and we go to week 8, and if we scroll down, what we have is a link for Friday. Okay, right there. Link to Google Sheets for brine shrimp class data. So if you click that, you will get this right here. This is what we filled in together. Now I'm just going to drag and select these groups. That's right, so we had several groups, so I'm just kind of clicking and dragging, or just kind of clicking and then bringing my finger over. There we go, and I'm going to hit Control C to copy. Then I'm going to go back to my chart here, and I'm going to put these right in, clicking right here, Command V to paste, and there they are. I don't like the bold, kind of clashes with the bold title. I'll make that a little smaller, 12, and we'll center them. Maybe we'll change the font to something more professional. I'm not really sure what that means, but here we go. And certainly you can do all that yourself. Remember, we just keep these group names here to remember who was who. And then we have that. All right, now I'm going to go grab the data. The data is going to fit right in here, so I'm going to go back to the Google Sheet here. And I'm going to select the data from the Google Sheet, Command C, back to here, and then Command V. All right, so now we got this data in, and again, you can do anything you like with this. I'm going to give it some borders, and there's a little on the home page here. Right here, you'll see a little screen, and I'm just going to click this all borders. Okay, I'm going to make this kind of a thick line right here because it's, I don't know, because I want to. And I'm going to go to more borders, and I'm going to hit this line here and put that right there. See, that happens there. Maybe put some smaller borders there by clicking there. Again, you could jazz this up any way you like, or easy listening any way you like. I'm trying to do that, but that didn't work. Same thing here. I'm going to make these kind of have a group of borders, and maybe that's not working now. And that's always the fun thing. Go to more borders. We'll go to the skinny line right here. Maybe we don't want the diagonals. Again, hitting OK. Now I got that, and I guess I got to do the same thing for this guy because for whatever reason that button's not working now. But hey, I'm tall. More borders. Same idea. Keep doing the diagonals. Here we go. And again, you could do this any way you like. I think we had a thick line here. I guess I'm OCDing out now, sorry. And I guess I wanted that still. I still want that big line there, so let's do that. There we go. All right, again, you could do this any way you like. Hey, we're going to keep doing this way. Make a big thick line there. And I'm going to hit that big line and put that right there for those. Again, you could do this any way you like. Maybe you want to color the salinity. So I'm going to go here, and maybe I don't like that color. So I'll go with a lighter color there. And maybe I want to make the salinity bold. All right, now we have our groups, and now we need to add, all right, mean, because we need the mean. Basically, we're going to plot a graph of the average. So we build a graph to help us do that. Then we're going to have standard deviation, so SD. And then we're going to have standard error of the mean because we're going to have error bars. And then we're going to have standard error of the mean plus or minus 2. I have plus or minus. I'm going to times it by 2. And I don't need these to be so big, right? So I'm going to make these just kind of grabbing them, clicking on them, and then looking where that little thing gets bigger or small, the width, just making the width smaller. Okay, and I'll deal with that. We can make this fill in also if we like with, I guess we're going to have to do with more borders at this point. And then click them all in like we did before. And I have no reason, I don't know why that little easier button's not working, but hey, I'm tall. All right, here we go. So now let's kind of clean this up. Let's kind of center it because we can. So I'm just going to click the middle. And again, we're talking about presentation, making nice, clean, easy to read graphs and data tables. So I'm going to hit this center button right here. And there we go. And now I'll do the same for my data area here that we're going to fill in. All right. Okay. Now we need to create a mean. Okay. Do the averages here. So we're going to go insert. Okay. And we're going to go formulas. And we're going to hit insert formula. So I hit the formula button. We're going to insert the function. Box comes up. We're going to look at average. And so since I remember I clicked this box, that's where I want my mean to be. Then I hit formulas and hit average. I'm going to insert the function. Now it's going to ask me where we're going to average, because we don't want to average the salinity here. So I'm going to average, I'm clicking this box and dragging. This is my area where I'm hitting the average. And it's really good to click up here and hit enter, because if you click anywhere here, it's going to grab that. It's looking for the average. It's looking for the area to average number, so don't click anywhere else. So put it back up here, the cursor, hit return, and there we go. All right, and then what we're going to do next is standard deviation. And I'm clicking under standard deviation, and we're doing the standard deviation of the 0% salinity first, and we'll copy it all. So because I clicked on here, I'm going to click on standard deviation. This formula still is open. I'm going to insert the function, and guess what? It's looking for where to look to make a standard deviation. So I'm going to click on the first, and I'm going to drag just to my 6 groups. Put my cursor up here like before, hit enter or return. Okay. Standard error of the mean, we don't have a formula for. We have to, if you remember the formula from your reference table, it's going to be the square standard deviation divided by the square root of the number of samples. So we're going to have to do a manual formula, but it's pretty simple. So we're going to hit up here. So we're clicking this first, and we're up here, we're going to hit equal. And what we're going to do is we're going to need the standard deviation number. So for me, it's L8. So I say equal L8. And I do that because now it knows I'm using this number first. I have to say equal L8. And then I'm going to use a backslash for divide. I guess that's backslash. And then we're going to use a shortcut for the square root. It's called squirt. So it's SQRT. And then you have to count how many samples we have, because in your AP Bio reference table, it's going to be the SD divided by the square root of the number of samples. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I do parentheses, 6, close my parentheses, and then I'm going to hit enter. And there it is. And then because standard error of the mean, what we just did was only 68%, okay, of all the means are in that average. We want the plus or minus 2 because we want the 95 percentile of all the means. So I click here. I'm going to use this value and times it by 2. So I click here. I hit equal M8. And some of this should be coming back to you, so that I know that I'm starting here. I'm going to hit that little star, which is the shift on the top of the 8, little star, which is multiply in Excel, 2. So I'm taking M8 and timesing by 2. That little star is, I do shift, and you hit the 8 key, and there it is. I put my cursor here, enter, and there it is. I times it by 2. Okay, and so now when I don't have to do this every single time. It's the neat thing about Excel is I can just grab these 4, and in the corner here, see where it becomes a little black square? I'm going to drag this corner down. And there I have all of the means, standard deviation, standard of the mean, and the standard error of the mean plus or minus 2. Now, I want to clean this up into 2 decimal places, so I'm going to go to, I guess, Format Cells, and I'm going to hit number up here. And in that number, I'm going to hit 2 decimal places and hit OK. And if you want to embold them, you can change that. Let's make this line bigger if you like. Now, if we want to change the border, we're going to go back to Home. And we're going to go back to More Borders. And we're looking to make a big line right there. And certainly you can make this any way you like. Okay. To me, this is a little different than what we've been looking at. So I'm going to make this a color. So I'm just going to click. So what I just did is I selected the mean through the SEM2. And you don't have to do this, but hey, I am. I'm going to click this down for color and make it a, I don't know. What do I know what color it is? Okay. And you can change it any way you like. All right, so there is our data table. Now you say, oh, Mr. Grodsky, I think I'd like this to be over. Okay, well, I could probably do what? I could probably merge all these cells, merge and center. And that worked out poorly. I'm going to go back. Okay, and let's see, let's try that again. Merge and center. And can I merge these two? I have no idea. Let's see, merge and center. and didn't like to do that. Okay, but in any case, you could not center this anymore, and you could just put it here, put the cursor here, I notice, and just kind of move it over to your heart's content. You could erase that and do that again. Okay, but the nicest thing, party people, is now I have a nice data table. And you say, okay, great. Don't I have to put this into my Google Doc? Sure. Watch. So take your clicker or your mouse pad and click on. I'm going to select the entire graph. Okay, and now I'm going to go Command C. Oops, it disappeared on me. So select the entire graph and do Command C. So I just copied it. I could have also done up here and hit copy as well. And then we're going to go to our Google Doc. Okay, so I'm going to go to my Google Doc, and I think I have one open. This is the Cornell research, but this could be a Google Doc, and I do Command V. And lo and behold, okay, I get a table. Now you say, ooh, that does not look as nice. So another way to do this to get a nice table, let's go back to our thing. All right, so that wasn't a really pretty table that we just put in the Google Doc. So let's do this another way that really works well, because we're going from one program to another. We're going from a Google program from Microsoft Word, and that isn't always compatible. To make it compatible, just kind of, again, let's select the entire pretty table we just made, hit edit, copy. Now let's go into a Google Sheet. Okay, I'm going to go into the Brine ship one, and you can do the same. Okay, so if we go into the Google Sheet where we got our data, I'm just going to click a cell here, edit, and paste. And there we have it. It's kind of nice. So there is some serious compatibility. It looks exactly the same. I might want to move this one over if that's what we had to change. So maybe not all the formatting was the same. Who knows? Again, you can make that adjustment. Now I'm going to take this, and because it's in a Google Sheet, I'm going to hit Command C or copy up here. Doesn't really matter. And now I can put this directly into my lab. So if I go back to, you can put this in your lab, or for me, I'm just going to put it above the Cornell research just to show you. So I'm going to hit Command V, and it's going to ask you want to link to the spreadsheet. No, we can paste unlinked. Okay, and there we get our nice graph. And again, you can make some adjustments. Oops, here, and I made some mistakes here, and you can just change. You can make some adjustments here. Okay, and you can see good times. All right, and you can mess with that. So this is a much better looking and presenting graph or graph that presents your data much better than the one we just did directly from that. So let's just kind of delete that. Okay, so we have one of our tables. That was a good time to delete that as well. And we'll leave that alone for another time. But any case, let's go back to our to make a graph. And again, we need another graph here for this data. So let's go back to Excel and do that. And right there. Confused me because it looks exactly the same. Okay, so now we're going to make a graph, and we're going to use, in this case, we could use many different ways to do this, but the bottom line is we're going to use these means. We're going to graph the means because we're going to use the standard error of the mean. So we're going to use the mean for each of the different salinities. So all I'm doing is clicking on the 5 different means for the 5 different salinities that we got the hatching viabilities for. Okay, and so I'm going to go to Insert, and I'm going to go over here for these graphs, and I'm going to click for a bar graph. And certainly you're free to choose other things that are just as equally presentable, but I'm going to hit this very simple 2D column. Okay, and it made a quick little graph for me. Now this is a very, very easy little graph. You could just jazz this up, okay, but let's do that. So I'm going to click the graph, I'm going to right click it, or I could just go right here, select data. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to name the bottom here. We want it name this based upon our salinities. So where it says horizontal axis labels, I'm going to click on this, and I'm just going to click here, and then I'm going to hit enter, and then hit OK, and we can see that the horizontal labels, or now we have the salinity. Chart title, well, we could change that by just clicking on it, and we can do what? Class percent hatching, and I should use capitals, hatching viability. Okay, and I'm going to kind of select it. I'm going to go back to the home to maybe bold it out and maybe choose a darker color. You certainly are free to do anything you like here. Same thing here. I could kind of click these guys and do the same. All right. A couple other things I could do is, again, let's go back to the chart design. All right. I can select the data, and I can name my Y values. My Y values, okay, is hatching viability, and that's fine there. And we hit OK. And now we could certainly jazz this up in many different ways. We can change the chart colors, okay, and give you different ways, and you can also click these if you wanted to get crazy. Okay, ooh, a little drop shadow here. Notice this gave us what? Some values. I'm not a big fan. Okay, I like kind of controlling things. So I'm going to add a chart element. I'm going to do data labels, and I'm going to go inside the center. And you can see what it did. It just made, and I'll make this bigger, just made the values in the center. We could certainly change those things. Okay, format data labels. And we can do so much stuff here. And again, it's up to you if you want to. I'm just kind of, I think fill, no fill. And again, I'm not an expert here. Ooh, I think this is it. Okay, in any case, all different things you can do here. I'm not going to mess with that, but you can make that go white if you wanted to. But let's go on to the last little piece, and I'll get rid of this. And again, you could jazz this up with different backgrounds. Okay, let's go back to chart design. Okay, and they can do some quick layouts here. Again, if you wanted to, if it makes sense to you, if I do this, all right, hatching viability, access title, we can do that. I'm not a big fan, but there's a lot of different scenarios where maybe this would work out for you. Okay, and again, not a big fan of that as well, so I'm just going back button. But the last thing I need you to do, and again, you could change the colors, everything, the background, you could change the color of these bars, and again, you could format the data series like we just did and get all that. But now I need to get the error bars. Okay, so the bare minimum, we have to have a title, we have to label our axes like we have, and then we need to put the error bars in. So I'm just showing the bare minimum. So the last thing is add a chart element. Let's go to error bars. Okay, and we're going to go to more error bar options, and then we're going to go to custom. Okay, and then we're going to go to specify value, and then we're going to hit cancel because I can't see all my data right now, right there, because I need my SEM plus or minus 2 there. So specify value, and so there's a plus or minus. So here's the plus part. I'm going to drag all of this, hit enter, and that's not good. It just gave me the positive. Specify value again. I need to click this and click these as well and hit OK. So now I have my error bars. Okay, I might want to give them a different look. We're going to change them to a square. It's easy to see. I may make them be a little bit bigger so we can see them. Okay, notice what's nice about what just happened here with the error bars. It went to -5, so you can see that. All right, and so now we have our significance there. And again, you could change the color anything you'd like to do there, but there is the very basic, at least very basic chart you have that you need there. And if I wanted to, again, I can do this. I'm trying to see if I can do a background, difference of background here. Format chart area. Let's do a solid fill. That's crazy, huh? Let's go here. It's kind of loud and proud, I guess. But in any case, same thing. What if I right click it or hit copy or just click on it, hit edit, copy. Let's see if that's going to bring that graph into my Google Doc where our lab is. So we would go back to Google Chrome and Command V, and there we go. And this time it gave us a nice graph, so we didn't have to do any extra there. And you can make that bigger. And again, with every graph, you should, maybe put a little figure here. Graph 1, data table 1. You could, and it's kind of data table 1. This again, you need to annotate your data. So this should be really your data section. Okay, you should have a section that's titled. Again, this is not. So you should really try to start with your data table on a brand new page. Okay, you should bold it. Okay, and then you should annotate what this stuff is a little bit. Okay, and again, we could clean this up and make it look nice. We could square it up. Okay, and there's our data table. Maybe you want to put a calculation. Oops, getting almost full. You want to put a calculation here. Same thing, you want to bold it. Maybe make it a little bigger. Show me how you got hatching viability. Okay, and then you have your results and your conclusion. But that's what I'm asking you to do. Okay, at the bare minimum, that's a nice little table and graph for our data, and to start our error analysis or our conclusion, our data analysis, I really should say, then our error analysis. Okay, so I hope that helped. And if you have any trouble, give me a buzz, email. Okay, hope that helped.